So that particular conversation, I handed him a tract. He slowed down and looked at it, and I just said, "Where are you from?" And he said, "Provo." So, "You grew up in Provo?" Said, "Yeah." "LDS?" "No." "Did you grow up LDS?" "Yeah." And I asked him if he had much experience with born-again evangelical Christians, and he said, "Oh, a little bit. I've researched it a little bit." And I asked, "Okay, what would you say is your biggest objection to biblical Christianity?" And he said, "Oh, well, that would have to be the idea of eternal hellfire, hell, brimstone, fire, all that stuff I can't get on board with." And I said, "Oh, why is that?" He said, "Essentially, it would be unjust for God to eternally condemn someone." So I kind of walked through how justice works. First, I established that he thinks justice is appropriate. If someone does something wrong, they ought to be punished for it. And I kind of just asked some questions about, okay, what about the person who is wicked their whole life and then dies? Shouldn't there be some justice for them? And he agreed, yes, but I don't think that justice should be eternal. I said, okay, I use the example of a prison. Let's say that a man gets sent to prison for 10 years, and 3 years in, he stabs a prison guard and gets another sentence added onto that. And let's say another 3 years goes by, he commits another illegal act and gets more and more time added on. Would it be unjust for him to spend the rest of his life in the prison if he continuously did things that warranted more punishment? And he said, "No, I don't think that would be unjust. However, I think there would be a limit, and that limit would be death." I said, "Okay, but at least you agree that for wrongdoing there should be a continuous punishment." I said, "Just hypothetically, what if in hell people are continuing to be unjust, to warrant punishment? Would it then be just for that to continue meriting punishment for eternity?" He said, "No." And so we talked a little bit about the holiness of God and why I thought that the holiness of God is what made the justice of God make sense. If you don't understand God's holiness, if you don't understand that God does not just adhere to a list of good things that exists in the universe, some philosophical goodness list, but that God's very nature defines what goodness is, then a violation, something that's not good, something that's evil, is not just a violation of a philosophical checklist, it's a violation of the very nature of God. And if God really is the self-existent being, the root of existence, then that is an affront of cosmic proportions. That is a rebellion against the very reason that reality exists, you know? And so he still disagreed with me, but that's a little bit of the conversation.